Good evening, everybody. We're live. How's everybody doing this fine Friday evening, or whenever it happens to be when you're watching this on Patreon? This is yet another Kimagure Orange Road live commentary. I am your host, Jason Alley. I am beyond pleased to be sitting with you on this Friday night. I'm a little tired. The kiddo had me up at 5 a.m. this morning, and I haven't slept since then. So do forgive me if I sound neurodivergent during today's commentary. Obviously, these are done live in a single take, no editing. I gotta use my brain like on the fly to like use words and say things. So, forgive me if it's the end of a long day after the end of a relatively long week. I hope that everyone else's week out there has been splendid. I hope everyone's having a nice Friday night, feet kicked up in front of a fireplace with your slippers on, because that's how I'm rolling right now. I got my slippers on. See, I got my North Face slippers on. I'm chilling. These are comfy. My feet are warm. I got an artificial fire behind me because I dare not light real flames in the podcast studio. I'm going to lose too much equipment that way, although I'm not going to miss this camera. I'm still rolling with that fuzzy autofocus camera. I got to talk to my wife about getting a new one. She's going to kill me. Tonight, we're watching a very, very fun episode. We're kind of back to a more normal Orange Road in terms of like narrative style. The type of story that's being told, the way the story is being told is a lot more traditional, what we would expect from Orange Road up to this point. 43 was, in my opinion, kind of a big diversion from the normal standard, for better or worse, in many people's opinions. So I've talked to people who like it. Um, I've talked to people who don't like it at all, don't even watch it on reviewings of the show. I would say that I appreciate it for what it is, and that it's sort of a palate cleansing episode for being so different. Now we're going right back into the thick of things. So from a narrative perspective, this is going to be back to normal. And from a stylistic standpoint, I mean, we're kind of back to more normal, less avant-garde with our visual style. We're back to fuller hues, more saturated colors, more happy-go-lucky principal characters, and really just a lot more silliness and lightheartedness in the story. Episode 43 is not an episode with any frivolity at all, and there's not much silliness or lightheartedness, but this episode contains those things. Also, this episode contains Kazuya. So if you're not a huge Kazuya fan, I know he's a bit polarizing as well. This may not be one of your favorite episodes. If you're a big Kazuya fan, I would like to please encourage you to please get help for that. I'm always here. I'm not a licensed professional. I can't speak to you about what might be wrong with you in here if you love Kazuya, but I want to tell you that I'm here for you. You can reach out to me at any time. You can respond to this video, or you can approach me in my DMs, and I will try to help connect you with, a professional, maybe even like a priest, exorcist. I don't know what's wrong with you. If you love Kazuya, I think for me, I appreciate that Kazuya is not a character that gets a lot of episodes focused on him, where he's really kind of driving the plot or driving the conflict in some way, as he does in this episode. There's really maybe a handful of episodes where he does. The first episode where he's introduced, of course, because he's introduced. They got to focus on him, and he resembles Casca so much that that's a kind of a major element of that episode. And then there's the first episode where he and Kasuga switch bodies, because he convinces Kasuga that if they were to switch bodies, he would be able to use Kazuya's Esper power to read minds, to like peek inside of Ayuka's brain, which I don't blame Kasuga for wanting to do at all. Ayuka is famously inscrutable. Um, you don't really know what's going on in her head if you're Kasuga, if you're not an omniscient narrator or a viewer like us who sometimes gets to benefit from this kind of omniscience that we occasionally get in this show. Um, I'm wearing my old Abakabu shirt. This was not one that I produced for mass production. You know, I didn't make this one to produce. I didn't like the orange color. See, it's like an orange, but or it was supposed to be orange, but it's like this weird kind of ochre. So I wound up producing the ones I did that look more like the sign with Jingle on them. So hopefully you guys like those better because those are the ones that I'm distributing to the masses. If you don't have a shirt yet, hit me in the DMs. I'm not making shirts with Kazuya on them. Not going to happen. Gun to my head, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to say, blow my brains out. I stick to my principles, at least a few. I've got a few principles. I'm not a very principled man, but I've got a few. Um, so today's episode is going to involve a little bit more of the body swapping. I think I've mentioned a few episodes ago, maybe more than a few, maybe 10 episodes ago, that once you kind of reach about the halfway point of Orange Road, we begin to see a little bit of idea recycling. There are several ideas that get recycled throughout the series, even in the first half. There is Kasuga, especially in the first half, Kasuga has a pretty constant insecurity that Ayukawa is fooling around or hooking up with older dudes. Kasuga is insecure about his own maturity, of course, and his own experience level, particularly juxtaposed with Ayukawa's own like cool exterior, where she really seems like she knows everything. She's been everywhere. She's done everything, just like Jack Burton. Um, Ayukawa, of course, that's not the truth, but Casca doesn't know that. So, of course, that insecurity is often, a plot element. Like he thinks she's Stuppen master, and then he thinks she's Stupping her cousin Shu when she leaves the hotel in the morning with him. I mean, that one was kind of. I don't really blame Casca if you see the girl leaving the hotel in the morning with the dude. I mean, put two and two together. I mean, put penis and vagina together. That was definitely some sexing going on. Turns out they were in a band together and they were practicing all night and they're cousins, for Christ's sake. That's disgusting, guys. Okay. So that's a plot element that kind of gets reused to sort of tee up slightly different events, but there's like a narrative, it follows a certain like narrative structure where Casca realizes, oh, it was just a big misunderstanding. The reason you were going into this hotel with this older dude was not because you're fucking him, but because he took you out to dinner to say thank you for working at his shop. I mean, a check would have worked just fine. Like you could write me a check with my name on it and some money, and I would go cash that. And that's like a perfectly acceptable thank you, at least where I come from. Um, there are, of course, you know, there is the body swapping plot point. There's a self hypnosis plot point. I mean, so some of the stuff does wind up kind of getting recycled. Shikaru kind of witnessing something between Ayukawa and Kasuga, and what did she see, and how does that affect her emotionally? Um, that gets recycled. It's seen in the tennis episode. It's also seen in the Mushroom of Truth episode. And she kind of reacts in the way that you would expect Shikaru to react. And so, again, today it's like, oh, we got another body swap episode. They do some fun things with a body swap, right? I mean, Kasuga gets to be in Kazuya's body as Shikaru totally like short circuits looking at his little baby dick. So even saying that kind of feels funny. It's like it's a humorous thing. So yeah, there's a little bit of it's not a complete retread, but obviously as we get to this point in the series, we're near the end. I felt this way with the manga as well. The first time I read through the manga, I felt like it was very much um, some of the same stuff kind of getting reused and maybe going in a slightly different direction or having a slightly different arrangement of components. But um, I imagine I've said enough. We're at almost 10 minutes. I imagine I've said enough. Let's go ahead and get cracking on the episode, everybody. This is going to be fun stuff. Um, and it's a good episode. I mean, it's a fun episode. It's got funny elements to it. I mean, I can't say I love the plot of the body swap again, but it is kind of cute how Ayukawa is wanting to have a kind of a traditional Japanese Valentine's Day with Kasuga, which is kind of cute. I've mentioned previously that the latter part of the series, as they kind of grow to like each other more and more, um, it does seem as if Ayukawa wants a more kind of like open, traditional boyfriend girlfriend relationship and less of a unspoken kind of under the table kind of secret will they won't they kind of relationship, and that makes sense as that sort of secret sort of unspoken relationship goes on. The two people only care about each other even more and more deeply. um, there's a point where it's like you want the whole thing, and I think this episode is good evidence of that, with Ayukawa wanting like a Valentine's Day with Casca, wanting to kind of do something nice for him, give him chocolate. We see that. It's very cute on Ayukawa's part. Again, Ayukawa, I've mentioned just in this episode, she's inscrutable, right? Earlier I called her inscrutable, but we do get to see, we have a semi-omniscient narration. I mean, Casca does the voiceover a lot, but we also get to see narrative events that Kasuga is not present for, that he would have no way of knowing, that he would not be able to relate back to us in a voiceover. If he was the person kind of narrating this story, a la How I Met Your Mother or something like that, where what we're obviously witnessing is a flashback from some future date where Kasuga is relating all of the events that we see. And in this episode is an example of that too, where we get to see Ayukawa kind of outside of Kasuga, where Kasuga's not around, Kasuga's not privy to the events, and we get to see a little bit more. We don't get to see inside her head, we don't get to hear her voiceover narration, but we do get to kind of see um, how she would kind of behave, how she would kind of respond to Valentine's Day in the context of liking this guy, but not really having anything specific going with him. And she starts by even giving him this red scarf that she's wearing. I pointed out that that's kind of an intimate gesture. It's one thing to give someone a gift and say, "Hey, I got this for you because whatever." I mean, the context of Valentine's Day, it's not like it's Casca's birthday or something. The context of giving a gift on Valentine's Day certainly does seem romantic, just like the red straw hat. I mean, he's even wearing the thing inside. He's like, I'm not taking it off. You know what I mean? It's very cute how he's like, I'm not taking it off. And, the fact that she removed it from her, she took it off of her to put it on him, I think is even more intimate than the idea of giving a gift, the idea of wearing it first. It's going to smell like a yukua. I mean, that's intentional. You wear something, she's wearing it to school, from school, or they were in their school uniforms. So Ayuko wears this thing, and then after wearing it for some time, puts it on Kasuga, right? She doesn't just hand it to him and allow him to take it. It's an intimate gesture of like getting close enough to him that you can wrap it around him. And then also like this thing smells like her now, and it's like right underneath his face, like he's going to be smelling Ayukawa. And to me, that's a very intimate thing between them, and it does speak to kind of what Ayukawa is wanting on Valentine's Day. Oh, great. Another goddamn body swap. At least Casca knows what's going on. He's not going to pretend like this hasn't happened 6 months ago. So, obviously the dynamic of the body swap I mentioned before in the previous episode where they've done this is that the body swap allows, and in any body swap media, I'm talking like Freaky Friday with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. I love that movie, by the way. And I'm not ashamed to admit it on the internet for all to hear. I love that movie. I think it's hilarious. When they swap bodies and the mom is inside of Lindsay Lohan's body and she's pretending to be Lindsay Lohan's character, like talking to her friends at school, she reaches, I mean, it's completely like you have to be paying attention to the movie. She reaches and pulls her friend's shirt down to like cover her bare midriff up a little bit, like that conservative, like cover yourself up, hon. Like it's a mother thing to do, and it's like an unspoken gesture that she just does, and that if you're looking at the screen, you just see her do this, and it's hilarious, and I love it. So I like that movie. Um, that being said, usually the idea of a body swap is two people don't understand each other. They don't get along. They're experiencing interpersonal conflict. I love Yusaku's little fantasy here. Um, it's the only time you really get to see inside Yusaku's head. And because this is actually occurring inside his head, it's like the one indication that he might be heterosexual. I'll say maybe he's bisexual. I still think he's in love with Kasuga predominantly and primarily. Uh, and the idea is that like the two people have to swap bodies over the course of the narrative in order to um, solve whatever conflict is between them. As with mothers and daughters, it makes sense that the mother-daughter character would swap bodies so that they could better understand each other. And I think in the original, the first episode where Kasuga and Kazuya swap bodies, I think the result is that they both kind of understand each other a little bit better. That maybe Kazuya is a little less envious of like older, the life of an older adolescent or older teenager, and Kasuga is also a little less envious of like the carefree, kind of put your hand on a booby willy nilly life of a 6-year-old. I believe Kazuya is 6, right? I'm remembering that correctly. In this episode, really, it's Kazuya just trying to avoid something painful. He doesn't want to have this painful experience of the dentist. And so I always feel bad when kids cry in movies, even if it's supposed to be funny. I'm like, poor kid. Problem with being an adult or being a parent is I just want to hug everybody. So here we see that Ayukawa is working on making these chocolates, right? They're all accounted for, she says. That's important. She can't spare one for master. Not even an obligation chocolate. Put a pin in that. Japanese Valentine's Day is interesting, but I'll gab about that at the end. So she's a little embarrassed there. The implication that, oh, these are for the customers. And he calls her out. I mean, he knows that she's making these chocolates with Kasuga on the brain. Not that they're all for Kasuga, but, they're for Kasuga in the sense that, she's making these for the customers as a pretext to give chocolate to Kasuga. Again, she has to give chocolate to Kasuga secretly. It has to be this unspoken thing. It can't be, she can't give chocolate to Kasuga because it'll look like she likes him. That's sort of how Valentine's Day is in Japan. The dudes get stuff, which is cool. Definitely not how it is in the United States. I ain't gonna get shit on Valentine's Day, y'all. I might get a card. And my wife's, she might give me like a chocolate. She might give me like a Reese's chocolate heart with the peanut butter inside because she knows I like that peanut butter. Ooh, yeah, so I might get one of those, but I ain't getting a necklace or earrings. I love how this dentist is just throwing it at Takashi. I mean, like if I didn't know any better, I would have thought she pushed Takashi's wife off the fucking bridge. You know what I mean? Like, kicked her, booted her off that waterfall from the episode 31 or whatever that was. The one that Uma Anushko jumped off of. And I mean, she's like, hey, you remember back in the day, like we went out a couple of times before you went and met that Esper broad in the mountains. Why don't you give it to me again? You're even more sexy now. He's not wrong. I mean, look, she is depicted as a very attractive. It's I guess it's like the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Like Kasuga is somehow maybe inexplicably attractive to somebody like super hot like Ayukawa. Like, I don't know, super hot dentists also like Takashi. It's like something that runs in the family. I dig it. I also dig the fact that the dentist of all people is smoking openly in her office. I don't know. I'm not a smoker, never have been, and I don't care for it. And I pray my daughters never pick up the filthy habit. But it is quite funny that I do like media where it shows the doctor smoking. And what's even better is when they smoke inside their office, like their clinical environment. because it's not just like the doctor is um the doctor is like foolish enough to smoke, right? Because like a doctor ought to know better. But then the fact that he does it in his clinical environment, like his patients are gonna have to like just fucking secondhand that shit right up, you know? I love it. I love the idea of it. So these weirdos are taking advantage of Kasuga again. This time, it's Kazuya. It's not hypnotized, but it's Kazuya in Kasuga's body, just being naive to the older kids. I don't know why. Whenever these two show up, it's like we have to have this like wrestling theme. This is maybe more bodybuilding than wrestling, right? Because he's ripped and he's flexing. So that's maybe I should be insulted. But like I don't understand why their Valentine's Day has to be like we're like ripped bodybuilders. I don't know. It would have been a crime for them to not show up in this episode, though. I will say that the Valentine's Day episode must feature Uma Anushka. Uh, I don't know why they have to be like. It's February, right? It's February, and it's cold. People are wearing coats, scarves, etc. They seemed a little underdressed for the time of year is what I'm saying. And I like that too, where she like jumps at him, but he doesn't catch her this time because he's Kazuya. He has no idea. But at the same time, she doesn't know that it's a different person inside of Casca's body, and therefore she is hurt that he doesn't catch her. And then she sees the evidence of chocolate on his face and concludes that he's already eaten some chocolate. She wants to know where he got them. Well, he could have said, well, it was obligation chocolate from my sisters. He does have two sisters, and you know, obligation chocolate might not be a terrible stretch. But when all of the chocolates fall out, you got to love how Komatsu and Hata are like, we see trouble. We're getting the fuck out of here. They do not stick around to bear any responsibility for this situation that they've essentially set up. And with Kazuya wanting to avoid the pain of the dentist by switching bodies with Casca, I think the irony is that he nonetheless experiences um, maybe a different kind of pain. I mean, not drilling into his gums or shots of Novocaine in the gums. Those are always fun, right? When they give you the shot of Novocaine like in the gums. That's a sensitive spot. I might rather get a needle in my dick than my like shoving it right there in that soft part of the gum. I take that back. I'd take it in the gum before the dick, but not by a ton. There's like some Fist of the North Star shit here. He's like, punching his hands into the thing and then, breaking the fucking block with his face and shit. Uh, Yusaku's about to fuck up Ayuka's. And look at she's writing his name. I mean, he's on her brain. She's writing his name, bro. She's just sitting there pining. I don't know how this guy hasn't gotten her pregnant yet. And now she's irritated that he's not there yet. And it's a cute thing, but it's, at this point in the show, it's quite obvious. Like she's thinking about Kasuga. I mean, at least he can explain to Ayukawa in a few weeks, like why this whole shit happened. Once she knows he's an Esper and he can demonstrate the body swapping ability, then at least he can explain, like, hey, I'm sorry I was late to Valentine's Day. So, Kazuya gets out of the dentist, but he gets his ass whipped by Yusaku. And because he's in Kasuga's body, he gets his ass whipped by Yusaku with a boner. Yusaku is definitely sexually aroused as he's kicking Kasuga's ass. And it's, a little shameful, right? I mean, getting aroused while you're beating somebody up, but it's also, it's a love-hate relationship with Yusaku. And by hate, I mean love. So it's a love-love relationship. He wants to be inside Kasuga. So Now she's gonna badmouth Kasuga to Kazuya, and he's digging his hole deeper. Don't tell her you went out with Shikaru. You tell her that he's with her like chief rival for his affections. Oh, he went out with Shikaru. Then she shows up and Shikaru's super pissed, and that whole story is about to fall through. Kasuga's even he's digging himself deeper without knowing. It's that like slow motion. She's jumping again. She's just flying across Abacabo. That would have been a decent time to use the power. I guess he couldn't without exposing himself, but I blame Shikaru for that one. But of course, because they get they get splattered with food, they have to go back to Ayukawa's house and clean up. I guess that it looks like Kazuya was the like particular victim of that. Um, like he got splattered more than the girls did, but maybe Ayukawa got splattered because she's taking a shower. Like she might have got spaghetti sauce in her hair or some shit, and that's why she's showering up there. And Kasuga ain't no dummy. He's like, wait a minute. Who's in the shower? I just saw Shikaru ironing my sweatshirt. I didn't know they had any booty in this show. This is a television episode, and they just showed some booty. That was wild. Did Kasuga just get an eye full of Ayukawa booty through that? I mean, I know it's a little fogged up, but I'm just saying. For a TV show, that was I speculated that White Lovers did not make it to TV because of the sexual content, because they get naked and Kasuga lays on top of Ayukawa. And that might still be true because the whole like laying on top of each other naked thing is definitely a step above showing her in the shower. But I'm surprised they did the shower thing. They tend to get away with that in manga, like the manga for Orange Road has a few scenes like that where it shows a little booty or a little boobie. Now, again, we're back to a more classic Orange Road narrative where he just basically hallucinated / fantasized his way into the shower. That what we just saw didn't actually happen. So, but this is actually happening. So it's like he goes from this fantasy to this super embarrassing situation where I guess he wasn't wearing underwear because she's gonna like iron his pants. I guess, which doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make, I guess you can get away with like a little bit of like baby dick on TV. Cartoon baby dick is cool because it's like Dragon Ball, but she's still she's still freaking out like she'd never seen a penis before. So, and he's just standing there mortified, like everybody's looking at my tiny pecker. It was like every day in my life. So, like everybody look at this kid's dick. I mean, that's you have to appreciate that and enjoy that. That has to be mortifying. At any rate, Shikaru's response was highly suspect. I think she might be on a list somewhere. Sorry, Posel. It doesn't make any sense though why you would take like if he got like juice and sauce and coffee or whatever splattered on his clothing, you don't just take the clothing off and iron it, right? Because that doesn't really do anything about the like spaghetti sauce that's splattered into the fabric. So you would put it through a wash, right? Like you put it through the washing machine. At least we would in the United States. I'm guessing Ayukawa, as big as that house is and as wealthy as her parents are, I'm guessing they have a washer dryer. I'm just guessing. You would put the clothing in the washing machine, then put it in the dryer. And then if you saw fit, you would iron it to get out wrinkles if that's what you wanted to do. But it doesn't make any sense that you would iron his shirt and then ask him for his pants. If they're still dirty, I mean, it all would have gone to the wash together and he'd be wearing just like his underwear, right? It doesn't make any sense. So, you know, called her Ayukawa-chan. It's, you know, a little familiar. So acting a little different. I like how she has to remind Shikado to be mad at him. It's like, wait, you're mad at him. She kind of snaps Shikado back into it. Shikado gets, you know, I guess she's a creature of habit. She's like, you know, happy to see him. He's in bad shape though. I mean, it's surprising how happy Kazuya as Kasuga is when he shows up, having just gotten his ass kicked. Like when we last saw him, Yusaku was initiating his strange sexual beatdown. And you can tell that he got his ass kicked or his ass something pounded, maybe. Definitely got his ass pounded. You could tell that by his clothes. His clothes are kind of torn and ripped up, and his hair is disheveled, as you can see. There's the the stray hairs going in different directions and such. The scarf is Madoka's. Why are you wearing Ayuko's scarf? That really ought to set Shikaru off even more than the chocolates. Like, you're wearing Ayuko's scarf? And I guess it does. It's my fault he's acting that way. Like, I've spoiled him. Spare the rod and spoil the boyfriend, right? But we see that Shikaru is capable of some ass kicking. We also see a very Looney Tunes style, exaggerated, very expressionistic animation where Kasuga's physical form kind of becomes this torpedo, and all you see is his eyes moving around. It's very Looney Tunes. And when she throws Kasuga, apparently she clobbers Kazuya with it and doesn't feel too guilty about that. So here Kasuga is paying his penance. You know, he's doing his penance. And there's no chocolates left for Kasuga. I mean, the chocolates that she had made earlier that she decorated so carefully, there's none left. She can't give one to Kasuga, and he's getting all mopey. He didn't get any chocolate. But unlike last Valentine's Day, it's not because no girls liked you. It's really just because your life is crazy. She's like, don't get the wrong idea. I like that. She has to, again, she has to be inscrutable. It has to be an unspoken thing. I can't just give you chocolate. I suppose in Japan, like any chocolate will do. In the United States, I mean, I don't know if like hot chocolate would work. And Master spills the beans here. So Kasuga did get the wrong idea after all. Or maybe it's the right idea. Ayako was like, fuck off. Jesus, I had him convinced that he wasn't special to me at all. And Kasuga gets the right idea at the end. I don't know that chocolate would have done it. But look, she even softens there, gives him a little smile. I mean, she acknowledges it, at least with her body language and her expression. You know, she acknowledges that was intended to be a Valentine's Day gift, that it was a that was a love chocolate or a romantic chocolate. Again, I don't want no chocolate. I don't want no hot chocolate on Valentine's Day. You can fuck off with that. I don't know. Liquid calories that just never sat very well with me. I don't want to drink my sugar. But with peanut butter and chocolate, I'll chew my sugar up. That's good. That's good stuff. And I mean, with that, we've watched episode 44. That means we got 45, 46, 47, and 48. We got 4 episodes left of the television series. We also have, wow, I just kicked that camera. Sorry about that. We also have 4 OVA. And we got the 2 movies. So that's 10 more weeks that you're going to have to deal with my ass. And we're doing it. Can't stop, won't stop. Once this is over, I'll start doing commentaries for the City Hunters, or at least watch-alongs for the City Hunters.
Man, it's a good thing I got multiple mics set up on this thing because my freaking lapel mic just died. Son of a bitch. So I didn't charge that thing well enough, but oh well. It's a good thing I got a second mic over here that I could just swing over. Otherwise, that would have ended quite abruptly. So I got things to say after this. Next episode's a weird one too. I won't talk too much about it, but next episode is like that image right there. That is just dark of like the casket lid closing on Shikaru. That is just it's dark. That is very dark. It was a dark episode. I'll talk more about it next week when we get there, but as I was saying for City Hunter, when we do the City Hunter watch along, everybody we got to play a drinking game every time he says mokori or sexually harasses some poor young woman that doesn't want or deserve that. We have to take a shot, and we're probably going to die during City Hunter. But episode 44 was fun. Something that I haven't mentioned yet that I did want to mention before I end this commentary is that um, this episode gives us another opportunity to see a traditionally Western holiday filtered through a Japanese lens, which I think is kind of cool because, of course, a different culture is going to do a holiday differently than maybe the way that we do it. So I think that's very cool. Like with Christmas, we saw that there's a lot of similarities. There's Christmas trees and there's like decorations, images of Santa Claus and uh snowy nights and the cabin in the woods. There's like very similar and the stars and the candy canes. I mean, there's very similar imagery. There's a lot of the same trappings. They didn't look like there was as much emphasis on gift giving, but of course they're adolescents. They're probably not giving each other gifts, but and it was more of a like a socializing couples holiday. Whereas in the US, I think that tends to be a little bit more New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve tends to be more of the holiday for like going out with a group of friends or with like a girlfriend or boyfriend or spouse or something like that, and like partying, kind of tying one on. They seem to have that reversed in Japan, but of course, Valentine's Day has some similarities as well, right? They had the images of the hearts, all the chocolates and the heart shaped boxes, the ribbons, the packaging. And it looked very similar to if you went to any store right now to buy chocolates for a loved one for Valentine's Day. It's very similar to what you would see there. You would see the same type of thing. Um, the tradition is a little bit different in Japan, which I find interesting. I mean, without getting too much into the trivia, uh, they sort of separate out Valentine's Day and what they call White Day a month later. So, such that Valentine's Day is about the girls giving the boys things, chocolate, not so much other stuff. It's mostly chocolate. And that being somewhat significant. And in a month later in March, the boys reciprocate. Hypothetically, if they like the girl, I guess they reciprocate. If they don't like the girl, then um, it's like a whole month of like anticipation and then like shitting your pants the day that the guy's like, yeah, sorry, I didn't really like you like that. Um, so it's an interesting sort of change to the way it's done. There's no white day episode in Orange Road, so we don't get to see like the follow up or anything like that. We don't get to see this in reverse, like Ayuko wanting chocolate from Kasuga in some reciprocation of her hot chocolate gesture at the end of the episode. But it's interesting again to see the way a holiday that originated in the West, how it was um, distributed and marketed in other places, and how the local cultures have embraced it and the things that they've done to it. So it's a nifty thing to read about how the Japanese celebrate Valentine's Day. And if you haven't already, I mean, there's Wikipedia articles on it. You can go avail yourself of some knowledge, but it's kind of a nifty thing. And over here, it's like I feel very casual about. I mean, I don't really get chocolate for like people. Like my daughters, I got 2 daughters and I got a wife, so they'll get some chocolate. I'll get my chocolate from my mother-in-law because she loves chocolate too. You know what I mean? It's not, but even in Japan, they might do that. They might, and it shows Kurumi and Manami making chocolate in the beginning of the episode, just before Kasuga swaps bodies with Kazuya, and yet I don't think we ever see what becomes of the chocolate that Manami and Kurumi make. I don't think we ever see if they give it to somebody or if that was obligation chocolate for their father or their brother, something like that. Or if they actually have people that they wanted to give the chocolate to. Certainly, the recipients were not Komatsu and Hata. We can tell that just based on their shitheel behavior in this episode. They did not get chocolate from Kurumi or Manami. So anyway, interesting episode, fun episode. I think the highlight for me is when um Shikaru and maybe to a slightly lesser degree an embarrassed Ayukawa ridicule the fuck out of Kyosuke's baby dick. That's to me, he's like experiencing that. And it's not like he can say it's not my dick. My dick is a little bit bigger than this one. You know what I mean? Can't say that. He just has to like stand there and silently take it and just like, it's got to be one of the most mortifying things for a fucking teenage boy for like the two girls he likes to be like laughing essentially at his penis, even if it's not his penis. It's still I don't know. It's funny to me. I don't know why. I claim to not really enjoy dick and fart jokes that much either. Like dick and fart jokes is like low hanging fruit. I think it's too easy, and I tend to turn up my nose at them. And yet here I am laughing at one. What I do enjoy is all of you fine people out there in Patreon land who are watching this, regardless of when. I love you. I love your face, and I would give you chocolate if I could. If I could give you chocolate, I would give you chocolate. If you were here now, I would give you chocolate. I would give you a chocolate kiss, and I would give you a not chocolate kiss on the cheek or the forehead or even your mouth because I love you people. I really appreciate you watching this. Really appreciate you being a Patreon. You're the fucking coolest, and that's really the only way I can express that. We'll be back next week. We're gonna watch episode 45, the weirdo episode where Shikaru sort of dies. In Kasuga's head, at least. We get to play that out as like a sort of a what if, an extended what if. So I will see you guys next week for that. Thank you again for tonight, for hanging out, and have a wonderful weekend. Adios, everybody. I hope you get some nice chocolates for Valentine's Day. Peace.